The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want the weapon.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
Okay, before we start this isn't going to be a direct attack on Mr. Ballen. I don't know exactly what's going on. How are these stories coming to Ballen? Does he have somebody now who is suggesting stories to him, making sure that they fit in the correct criteria for what they are trying to push? I don't believe that Mr. Ballen is just a one-man operation like myself, where when I make a video, I hit record and I'm literally improvising from beginning to end. I don't believe that's the case with people like Mr. Ballen. I think there are people involved now that are picking his stories, picking the narrative, and also assembling. There are bots that are commenting on his videos every day, thousands of times a day, to direct the narrative. And I'm going to show that to you later. But this new video is it's concerning. And good storytelling does not mean that you embellish or leave important facts out. And that's very, very important. What you have here is a story that is not only misleading, but it's now fitting the narrative that they're trying to push. And what that is the mental health narrative. And that's just dangerous. It's dangerous what is going on right now. You know, just to inject this into the story, let me tell you that Mr. Ballen did try to tell the Randy Weaver Ruby Ridge story from the federal government's point of view. And he got so slammed by people saying, nice job carrying water for the feds, that he actually backed off and said, I probably shouldn't have put this video on my channel. So I don't think he chose that story. I think somebody probably chose that story for him. And then he was like, shit, this backfired. Because the narrative that he was trying to sell was Randy Weaver was a crazy white supremacist who was doing crazy Nazi things, and the federal government had to come in and kill his wife and kids because he was a crazy Nazi and he deserved everything he got. And that's bullshit. So let me explain the story to you. The way this story is presented by Mr. Ballen, this German guy, Karl Tanzler, moves to Florida with his family, leaves his wife and kids, and moves to Key West to become a radiologist, and then meets this Cuban girl who is the vision that he had as he was a younger guy, as his true love or whatever. So she ends up dying of tuberculosis, and he exhumes the body at her behest. She is telling him this, to take the body and take me home, basically. And he takes her home and dresses her up and does all this Ed Gein style stuff, right? So what goes on here is it becomes a tale of mental health. And it couldn't be any less true. Because what actually happened with this guy is he didn't move from Germany to America and then leave his wife and kids and move down and meet a Cuban girl and do that. He was interested in electricity. There are so many details to this. He was interested in electricity, and he had moved to Australia to study electricity and bought property. And then World War I broke out, and he was arrested and imprisoned because they were literally going around and just arresting German citizens during that period. The war broke out, and they said, you know what, we're going to round up the German citizens and we're going to put them in prisons. And that's exactly what they did. So all the Germans end up losing all of the property, everything they had, and they were imprisoned in this operation. And then eventually ended up in the United States. When he became a radiologist, this girl had walked in with her parents who had a cough. And it turned out that she did have tuberculosis, that she did look like the vision that he had in his dreams when he was a younger guy, so he attempted to save her life. So here's what they're not telling you. The mausoleum that was built for her after the fact was built by him. That is true. But Mr. Ballen makes it seem like, and all these people make it seem like, he was hearing her voice. He was hearing her voice, and she told him to take her home, right? He had electricity, lighting, and a telephone system installed in the mausoleum, and he would get on it every night and sing to her and talk to her. And then 2 years later, she finally said, "Take me home." And then he accepted. He didn't do anything for 2 years. Now think about that. Use your head here. Do you think somebody was playing with the telephone system here? Do you get what I'm saying? So then this ghostly woman's voice comes over the telephone and says, "Take me home." And then he takes her home. That is what happened. He had a telephone system installed. He was not hearing voices of the woman telling her to take him home. Now, when you go here, the very first comment from one of these bots that has 1,000 likes says, "It's really frightening how much his mental health deteriorated after she passed away. It simply goes to show that you need to get help before it's too late." What? That doesn't even make sense. For one, the guy was older, right? You can't go psychotic in your 40s. That's impossible. You would already have to be psychotic and showing symptoms of psychosis of some form. It's impossible. Two, they dropped all charges on the guy, and he walked away from it. All he did was, desecrate a corpse, really. So what could they do? So it says you need to get help before it's too late. Before it's too late for what? The guy there weren't any ramifications for what he did. So this is just more narrative feeding crap. They want preemptive mental health standards to take care of somebody before anything can happen. And that's why Mr. Ballen and the people picking and choosing his stories are choosing and narrating stories like this. And that's why the bots are coming here and pushing this idea when it gets 1,000 likes, right? It's dangerous. What they are doing is dangerous. Now, they've been doing this for years. First they said there's no stigma to mental health. Just come out and say it. If you're having experiences, ups and downs due to RF, come in here and say it. They don't say that. They say there's no stigma to you feeling shitty all the time. Come in and talk about it. But then anything that happens, they use it against you. Listen. Watch Walking Dead again. Watch the whole thing again. What it is a brainwashing campaign to get you to think in a certain way. And what that way is if you don't take care of the problem before it happens, then you are in trouble. That is what it is trying to tell you. And then, on top of that, anytime anybody is under stress in Walking Dead, they see ghosts, they hear voices, they have visions. It happens to Carol. It happens to Rick when his wife dies. And then, like this headline here, The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman says Lori isn't a ghost, but avoids the death question. So they won't talk about what it really is. They just won't be direct. And I'm going to tell you what it is. They're trying to get you to think that it's okay and normal for any time anybody is under stress, a little bit tired, something devastating happens in their lives, that it's totally possible for you to just break down and start seeing ghosts and hearing voices and getting telephone calls from people. Listen, Breaking Bad is selling the exact same narrative. The overall narrative is if you don't take care of the problem before it happens, it is going to hurt you. Both those shows, all of it, everything on television now is selling the same underlying idea. And then on top of that, they sprinkle in this mental health bullshit, which is the same message. Look at the weird shit that happened to Elisa Lam, right? And then anything that happens, they find the chick in a damn water tower above the building. And instead of looking at this and going, you know what, this is really weird, they go, oh, well, she did have bipolar syndrome. She was bipolar. See? So it is stigmatized. And that's why I tell these people, if you think you're bipolar, the last thing you want to do is go and get diagnosed for it. Because not only is it going to be used against you if anything ever happens to you, if you go missing, if you end up in a damn water tower, whatever, you can't own a gun. You can't do a lot of things. And there's going to be more coming down the pike, man. I'm telling you. You know, you get these people that go missing. These guys will go missing. They walk out into the forest and just disappear or whatever. And someone says, oh, well, he did have bipolar. So he could have been suicidal. So he killed himself. We're going to quit looking. Do you understand the dangers of this? And this is all a domino effect. One after the other. And it's going to bring in a certain train of thought, a certain school of thought that is the most dangerous school of thought to have, while the effects that people are enduring are artificial in the first place. So what is the end game here? The end game here is preemptive policing, which is what we talked about in the Homeland Security technology videos. Preemptive policing, preemptive mental health, and a narrative that it is normal for people to see things, hear things, that just happens in nature with people. And it doesn't. If it did, our species wouldn't be here because we would be too weak to survive. We couldn't trust our instincts. And going back to the Mr. Ballen thing, you know, he has these bots leave a comment, best storyteller ever, even when it's not his story. You know, there are comment after comment after comment. Go look. And what these are reinforcement bots leaving these comments, because it doesn't matter whether you think he's the best storyteller ever. What matters is seeing it and hearing it over and over. So then, 6 months down the road, when someone says, who's the best storyteller ever? Even if you don't think it yourself, you are going to think about Mr. Ballen. You understand what I'm saying? This is dangerous. And what he does is he either embellishes in a way that is completely untruthful, or he leaves out very, very important information. And I don't know if that's at the behest of the people that are funding him or what, but it is happening. And I would probably like John Allen personally. But what he's doing is he's making a quick buck, and he's making a quick buck in a dangerous damn way. Let's take a moment to appreciate how much effort he puts into the content for us. Great job. These are bots, dude. No dude watching his videos is going to post something like that. He's going to say, wow, that was creepy, dude. Right on. I mean, come on, dude. These are so blatantly fake and planted comments. This is a narrative that's being sold to you, and it is the most dangerous narrative possible. And that's it for now. Look out for Charlie. That's it for now. Look out for Charlie.
Oh, man. I like this kid. This fucking guy's crazy.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.